I got Dr. Chapa this morning. We're going to get into it. I'm going to kick it on the FM, and we're going to have some fun this morning. Here we go. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. Everything that we talk about is going to be available to listen later today on the Living Well podcast. So just search Just Live Well, and you can go back and check it out. Not only today's show, but there's probably like over 100 shows on there. There's a lot. It's a backlog, so you can learn and feel free to ask questions. If you're watching on social media this morning, if you're listening on 99.5 FM or KHEARadio.com, thank you so much. Call and text a friend. Tell them, hey, tune into this. It's going to bring some value to your life. But Dr. Chapa's here. He has some supplements on the table. I'm going to start shaking them around, but it looks like it's going to be a good show this morning. Dr. Chapa, how you doing today?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be twins. I loved how you opened it up and said, yeah, we're going to get into it today. It's like we're going to get on the mat and roll. We're going to get in the ring and box. Like, what's going to go? Man, we're going to meet at the flagpole. What's going to go down? No, we're going to just bring the fire. We're going to teach people life through health, wellness, and nutrition. And we've always taught at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center that it's your life, your health, your choice, that all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that drives your health in a direction that you want it to go. And I love that because it has been a fundamental principle teaching that I share with people over and over and again, because I believe that truly they need to know that is their life, their health, their choice. Like the same way you can get on the path of good health and wellness tactics, and you can reverse aging, you can slow down the disease process, you can completely eradicate some sort of disease that you had, symptoms that you were dealing with and suffering with. You can make choices to get right back into that boat again, where your rashes come back, your headaches come back, your hormones get out of sorts again. You can find yourself adrenally fatigued again. You can find yourself so out of balance and so twisted and upside down that you don't know which way is up. And we're in a transition. We're all going back to school, and so there's going to be a lot of interesting things that are going to unfold. The buildings are back open, and the thing that we have always see when kids go back to school is what?
I think they start getting the little bugs and all that stuff.
Yeah, they get sick. They get colds. They get congestion. They get allergies. They get thises and that's. And so I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. And then we also have the transition. We've got parents that are sending their kids back, and parents that are going back to work and in a facility, fighting traffic into town. We got teachers that are going back and wondering, what the new year holds. And so what might that bring?
It's a breeding ground for stress.
It is, and it's just one of those wowza things, like, oh my gosh, like stress. And can stress, you think, affect a person's immunity?
I would say 100%, yes.
I mean, how could it not? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're running from a metaphoric grizzly bear, there's going to be a higher demand on a person's nutritional need. And if the diet doesn't change, and we're sending our kids out on juice boxes or letting them fill up on, artificial food, processed food, make-believe food. And what do we know about make-believe food?
That's make-believe health.
It leads to make-believe health, and it won't build a good student. It won't build a good teacher. It won't build a good employee or employer. It won't allow critical thinking on your feet. It won't allow that creative process to unfold before right before you as life is happening and you're living in the present. And so it sounds to me that not only do we need immune information, not only do we need stress management information, we also need brain stimulation. We need brain food, brain fuel. And so I thought we would just talk a little bit about the importance of nutrition in the transitions of life, or the going back to school season. I mean, here we are, and it's really exciting. I mean, I got kids starting back last week. You got college kids starting back, this week, next week, and the week after, and you just got people just kind of settling back in to what we hope to be some kind of normal pattern of what we remember.
Yeah. Do you like seeing the pictures of the kids going back to school?
We
all
took
that?
some this morning,
Yeah.
and I know it's kind of like it's we're as parents, we do it. Why?
because you love your kids and you want the memory and to show them off and be like, look how good they look day one, right?
That's right. And we really ought to do it like, every month, like, and
see like it starts out here
and then just a little decline, right?
Yeah.
You're all fired up. Because I got, my kids are going into, my son, he's 12, and he's going into a little bit of a transition where his school changes. So now instead of, we homeschool, but he has a part of a co-op, and like today his school is all day. Like he's got to study an extra 2 hours a day.
That don't sound fun, Dr. Chapa.
I know. And I asked him, I said, "Are you excited?" And he goes, You know,
the truth.
And I'm like, no, hook me up. Tell me the truth. He goes, I mean, yeah, but not really. It's school. Who wants to study Latin? I mean, who wants to have to do regimented things day in and day out and write papers and read all these books that you're telling me I got to read and all this other, and so and then it's just a process of like watching them evolve. And yeah, we took those pictures this morning, and it was fun, and we made it a celebration. And I love watching people go, like this one I saw yesterday. I guess the kid's probably 17, so he's probably a senior, right? And I don't know, I can't remember exactly the caption, but it was something to the effect of, these are traditional things, we got to do it, and the kid, you can tell he's not really interested, but he pops a smile, and I'm like, that's still, at the end of the day, like, dad's got to be proud, mom's got to be proud, and man, you should be proud of your kids, we should be excited for them, because as we are going through transitions, they're going through transitions. Change is happening always and forever. It isn't stopping. It is like the sun.
Yes, and just like you want your kids to be prepared for that first day of school, get all the school supplies they need, make sure they have the clothes. You were talking about being prepared for those shifts and those changes in life. So I'm sure we were going to talk about what can we do to prepare for those. What kind of?
That's right.
It's not just school clothes. There's other stuff you can do as well.
That's correct. Yeah, you don't want to look good and smell good on the outside. I'm glad you took a shower this morning. However, you want to make sure that you start your day right. The simplest of simple. I have a friend and coach, mentor, whatever. He is an avid advocate. Like even I didn't really think anybody liked talking about water as much as I do like talking about water with patients, because it's so simple, but this guy will literally not see you as a patient if you won't get your water intake up. I mean, it's like if you want a strong nervous system, if you want strong brain function, you better make sure that you put adequate water in.
What's water up though? Like how much should we be drinking?
You'll be shocked. I mean, people are drinking less than a liter, less than 32 ounces of water per day. And these are adults, okay? So like kids, it's even probably somewhat worse. And water, your body at the cellular level is 2/3 water, if not more. And we should be at this inside of us, our cells. We should be 67% water. And that cellular efficiency means something. It's how efficient is your cell going to communicate to neighboring cells when the brain says go, when the brain says think, when the brain says react, when the brain says coordinate, organize, or write or whatever, right? And so if the brain is not firing on all 8 cylinders, you may need some brain support. So if you get brain fatigue, if you find yourself wondering, how many times have I read this sentence over the last 20 minutes? And I mean, because that has happened to us all, I know. And there's so many ways, but in one respect, it's simply making sure that you're drinking plenty of water. Now, what if you're drinking plenty of water and you're still experiencing those symptoms? Oh, okay. Well, so again, it's never just one thing. Typically, there is a pattern or a number of things that we can do to enhance brain function.
But that's a good place to start. Step 1, water.
Because even if you take in good fuel and good nutrition, if your body is toxic and you don't have enough water flushing out the toxins, then those nutrients are not going to be used for brain fuel. They're going to be used for detoxification, because your body's always going to choose survival over longevity. And so the vitality longevity curve will go down whenever toxicity is up. And so the body will use nutrition that would normally drive longevity and vitality to survive. And so it's one or the other. Like, it can't really do both. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to survive at its rudimentary fundamental levels. And you're thinking, oh, Dr. Chapa, don't go doom and gloom on us. We're not in the survival state, and my belly's full. I mean, look at it. It pokes out a little bit.
Yeah.
It looks and I got it. I got it. We don't live in a culture where we have food per se deficit, but we do. We have a nutritional density problem. We have adequate food, but we don't necessarily have adequate nutritional density in the food. So the mineral concentration in the ground is off. So that means that the food that we grow in the ground is not delivering the nutrients aren't getting into those foods, and then therefore those foods aren't delivering that vitality and nutritional phytonutrient and phytochemicals we need in order to be revitalized ourselves. Because by definition, food should revitalize you, should supply you with energy, right? And if food doesn't do that, so you eat lunch and, oh my gosh, I'm so sleepy, and how am I going to get through the back end of my day? I mean, these are the conversations that people struggle with day in and day out. And it's almost, we make jokes about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's Monday. Got a case of the Mondays. It's the start of the day.
Or we're so fired up about hump day. It's right. Wednesday. And I'm like, wow, like, we're always looking forward to, not having to work or not having to labor. I was reading in Ecclesiastes this week, and I believe it was in like Ecclesiastes 7, and it was talking about how we all labor and toil. All things labor and toil. The plants labor and toil. And I've got 2 plants in my backyard. I've been watching them because I try. I wish I was a good gardener and a good green thumb. I like the idea of it, plants. And I've been noticing that these 2 hibiscus plants are literally leaning towards my back fence. But when I planted them, they weren't leaning. And for the longest time, they weren't leaning. They didn't start leaning until just recently. They literally are falling over to the side, and I'm like, what is that all about? It's really bizarre. So I've watched plants interact in my windowsill in my backyard, and some plants do good in this area versus this area and move things around. And it's like there's this couple spots on my 10 by 10 patio that in this little vicinity gets seemingly the same type of sunshine, do better with plants than others. And it's so mind-boggling to me. And the African violets, I watch them. Actually figured out how to have plants do exercise.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. If you've got an African violet in a windowsill, you can turn it and you'll watch the plant lean
towards the light and the sun.
Towards the light and the sun. And that's what these plants are doing. And I go, wow, even the plants are laboring, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, so none of us are going to get away from this idea of laboring. We just need to make sure that the fuel sources to drive brain function, or whatever their brain function is, at their fundamental level, they're reaching for the light. They're reaching for the sun. They're reaching for higher things in life, and so should we, right? And so, therefore, if the plants do those things, we should follow suit and be reaching for higher things. And we should be thinking, how can I make today, living in the present, be my best day? And am I working today to be better than yesterday? And what am I doing in my lifestyle practices to influence my brain chemistry? Because your brain just needs 2 simple things. It needs fuel and it needs stimulation. Well, if you're challenging yourself with some new reads and new associations in school, and taking on maybe some new sports, if you're kids, or if you're taking on a new exercise routine, if you're an adult, guess what? Those are good neurological stimulants that help activate the creative juices, the endorphins, that help de-stress your body even, and that help boost your immune system even. Like, we're going to be, there's so much interplay. And that's some of why health practices and talking about nutrition is complex, because what part of the watch tells time?
It's all of it. There's multiple pieces, and you need every single one of them.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Here I'm drinking my water. I realized this morning as I was walking in on this water idea, that normally today's a rest day physically for me. Like I'm not going to go to the gym and beat myself up, but normally by 9 o'clock, I mean I've already had 75 ounces of water, and I realized coming in, I've only had 25 ounces of water, and I'm like, I'm really behind schedule.
Behind, yeah.
But it's what's even more weird is I can tell I was thirsty the whole way over here, thinking, why am I so thirsty? You know,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, reaching for my water, and I actually feel, a little dry inside, and I don't know that I've ever really noticed that until today. And so I'm even still learning about myself. I know that this has happened to me before. I've been dehydrated before, but I mean, I'm a little bit more cognizant of it. And could it be as simple as taking in a little, more fluids earlier in the day to really prime the pump and to allow my body to release what needs to be released, whatever it's dealing with congestion wise, so like one of the in the Body's Many Cries for Water. It's a PDF now that you can download online. It's free, and this guy talks about acid reflux, headaches, migraines, hormonal dysfunction, skin rashes, fatigue, even mental clarity challenges, and him going around and just treating people with water. So, make sure you drink your water today, So, but we're talking about like how to activate and maximize brain function. So what else can we do? Well, we can eat a better breakfast. We can supplement with different herbals to boost ourselves up. I got one here, acetyl CH. This stuff has alpha GPC. Alpha GPC is a brain precursor to help drive synaptic activity in brain firing capacity. So, like, if you've ever seen commercials where they're advertising a spark plug, and you've got, a spark plug that has only one prong, and then they're selling you one with two prongs, and you get this better electrical spark to create that engine to turn over more effectively. That's what that product does. And it's got heparazine A in it and acetylcarnitine in it. And these are other factors that help the brain stay cool while it's running hot, right? Because to create all these synaptic firing pathways, there's a lot of heat that's generated, and we don't want the brain to overheat, right? So there is ways that the body can use herbs and nutrients to drive higher output without overheating. So you should take a couple of these. These are some fantastic products. This is acetyl CH. We use ribonucleic acid. We use which is basically transcription factors inside the nucleus of the cell that helps drive brain function. And so by feeding and nourishing the brain through food, so my son and daughter and wife, we got up and we made, they had, I think, 2 eggs each, a piece of bacon, and half a biscuit, or I think my wife had a croissant or something. And of course, my wife always has coffee. And so this is how, we got them going this morning. We want to make sure that they have a better logs on the fire mentally, so that they can get through their early morning. And then we're going to feed them again for lunch, some protein and healthier type options as opposed to sugar foods. Now, they probably got something sweet in there, but I mean, at the end of the day, the idea is to give them more logs on the fire, healthy carbs to maximize those logs, the proteins, and to minimize the amount of sugar that they're exposing themselves to, and to make sure that all throughout the morning and throughout the day that they're drinking plenty of water. And so we're creating a recipe, if you will, for better brain firing capacity for them to perform well as they're starting to learn. And we want to teach them these practices early. My daughter texted me yesterday and said, "Hey, I need a bottle of Proenzyme." Proenzyme is just an enzyme for pain. It's inflammation. She goes, "I don't really have any problems right now, but I don't have any. And just in case I need it, I wanted it." And I was like, okay, I like how you think. I mean, she's prepared, like, kind of a random thing, but sure enough, I grabbed her some and took it home. And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And so it's really cool that I'm starting to see my kids think about health even at 15 and 12 and 9 years old. And the little 5-year-old's just going to come right along suit and see that big brother's doing it, big sister's doing it, and I'm going to do it. It's no longer that mom and I have to pin her down and stuff down her anymore. Thank God. Oh, those days were challenging.
Yeah, it's just being prepared. Like, you prepare your kid to go to school, you give them that, and then you're giving them information that they can use for forever.
Yeah. So, so brain power is something that we all need. And I think what happens when your nervous system is feeling its best, when your brain is fueled as best as you can fuel it, eliminating the sugars that you are getting involved with. And because most people just are eating breakfast foods, so like some sort of pastry, some sort of cereal. And so we want to help people realize that those high sugary meals, it stresses out your biochemistry from a blood sugar perspective. And if your blood sugar's always on a roller coaster ride, up and down and all around, it's very difficult for you to think through learning a new skill. I mean, there's a lot of energy required in learning a new skill. The brain struggles to do it, but it loves the challenge of it, but there's a lot of work. And that's why we're creatures of habit, because once we have a pathway that's been burned in, the brain can just run that program over and over again and be as happy as it can be, because it didn't require much energy. So that's why habit formation is such a tough thing for us adults. It doesn't mean, like the average person's eating habits are set in stone by 9 years old. Well, you might be thinking, well, I'm 29, I'm 59, I'm 79, I'm doomed, And no, it just means it's just a little bit more challenging for you if you've not had these practices put in. I mean, I didn't have these practices put in. I just kind of been learning as I go since I've been 15 years old. I got them earlier, but I don't know that I necessarily got them before 9 years old, and that's okay. We just start with where we're at, and we find a why big enough to make a change, and then we change, because change is going to happen. I just want to make sure that I can control as much of the changes that are happening that I can take responsibility for, and then trust God with the rest, and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is my life, my health, my choice, and I want to be the best example I can be to people that trust me with their health, and try to make it realistic for them to, is it really that hard to eat breakfast in the morning?
You just got to prepare a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to start, I guess, if you aren't doing it. That's
right.
The hardest part, right?
But it could be, an extra 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get out of bed to make sure that you've got time to, start to finish, eating and everything, cleaned up. You can do what I just, had made, or you can be like my neighbors. She'll make, like 2 packs of bacon, on Sundays, and then it's stored nice in the refrigerator, and it's just a quick warm up. Right, and then making eggs is, 5 minutes, and throwing a bit, Ezekiel muffin or making some steel cut oats is 5 minutes. I mean, you can get those happening almost simultaneously. So within 7 minutes, you're eating a full gourmet meal for breakfast. You could. There's been times I've been running late, and I'll throw my breakfast, I'll get it cooked, and I'll throw it in a to-go container, run to the car and gobble it, down while I'm driving. It's not the best and most ideal. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, you might as well be texting and driving. Well, no, I'm at least looking at the road, you know. I just might be driving with my knees. Oh, so that's even worse. You know what I mean? So let's switch gears. Let's go into this idea of what it looks like in respect to managing stress. Because there are some anxieties for kids and anxieties for teachers and anxieties for parents dropping their kids off as they're getting, it's not like just routine in 2021 sending your kids off to school now. I mean, we've had a little bit of weird school behaviors over the last year, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah.
And there's definitely still some uncertainties and how is, what's going to happen at school this year. And so there's some anxieties around just being away from the home and back into the school realm. And so if you're somebody that kind of is a little bit more hardwired, you're ramped up and you're always a little bit more on the worry side, and you need to be more, you want to be more chill. You don't want to be amped up all the time. You can support your stress management system. You have an entire endocrine axis. My mentor believes wholeheartedly at the root of it all, if you have a weak glandular axis, a weak endocrine system, then you will not be the best version of you day in and day out. You will be in a cycle of accelerated aging and declining faster than you should be. And you're not going to be as creative as you would potentially want to be, or take the chances, risk the reputation, if you will, of your pride and ego if your glandular axis is weak. What is your glandular axis? Your pineal and hypothalamus and pituitary and thyroid and adrenal and gonadal glands. These glands all synergize and work together to maximize your potency, your social interactions, your willingness to step out in faith, your willingness to hear what even science says God lives in the hypothalamus, okay, and it's in the brain, and so even your ability to hear the Spirit speak to you. And so I think he kind of associates the glandular axis as a fundamental keystone, a pillar, if you will, to your vitality and longevity. And so we always support the glandular axis. Now, many times I remember going through seminars early in practice, and they're teaching us these cool things and showing us, and they'd use us students, they love picking on the students as guinea pigs, and they'd pull us up to the front, and they'd say, "Oh, we found another adrenal gland problem. Ha, 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 ha. He must be a student. Ha, 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 ha. He is going to be trashed at the end of his semester. Ha, 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 ha." Right?
Yeah.
I remember going into finals week or the 2 weeks prior to finals even, and watching kids just sick, allergies, headaches and hormones going nuts, and people not being able to handle their environment, and anxiety ramped up. You could feel the tension. You could cut the tension in the room because everybody's on edge, because of lack of sleep, overstimulated, malnourished adrenal system, stress management system, and everybody's like jacked up on rocket fuel, every stimulant you can imagine. And they're just trying to get through finals week. And they also got the sniffles. They also got a common cold. They also got, a box of Kleenex sitting at their table because their nose is pouring junk out, And so what do? You've got to support the glandular axis. I didn't bring everything, obviously. I have multitudes of things. But we could use two things for sure. If you just start your day every day with this wonderful little product called...
So this is for glandular axis?
This product is it's what I would call a foundational product for glandular support. We'll talk about the glandular support here in 2 seconds. But this product, Energy Force, what it does is the reason it has a D on there is because
I thought it was a smiley face. I thought it was like a smiley face, like an emoji. Like
it might be. Maybe my son did that, but I mean it's actually dashes for dash.
Oh, for dash. Okay.
And so, but that product there is a multivitamin. It is a anti-inflammatory, and it is a mitochondrial stimulator. Mitochondria being the cellular energy pump that the body needs, and it will turn on your energy jets. So it gives the fundamentals to the body so that when we turn the switch for the endocrine system or the glandular axis, the stress management axis to upregulate, I've got something to pull from.
You think Dash will care if I take a couple of these?
He won't mind. He won't even know.
All right. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
And he'll probably be just fine. He likes to share.
All right. And we have a couple questions that are coming in as well.
Yeah, bring it on.
And whenever we get a chance. Yeah, so this one says, I have menopause. How can I help with my glandular axis?
Oh, well, number one, we want to learn more about your menopause. I mean, are you truly menopausal? or are you just overstressed? So like if you're, over 50, typically is whenever we shift into that decline stage of life. And we all are in what we call a continuum of life. We're in we born, we grow, we develop, we decline, and then I hate to say we die, we pass on. But that decline stage is the part that we're hearing more and more about it in this time and era. But it's that decline stage, that pause of life that can be bolstered and strengthened with nutrition, that can be strengthened with vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, looking at the diet and seeing what am I eating that is potentially sabotaging my health, sabotaging my cellular communication, sabotaging my north to south compass, my brain communications downstream to the body, and that feedback loop from the body back to the brain. And so food can affect your hot flashes and or other menopausal symptoms, the mood swings, and the dysfunction there.
She gave a little bit more information. She said it was surgical with cancer. So surgical menopause.
Okay, so surgical menopause post-cancer. So we know that when cancer has been mentioned, we know there's levels of toxicity. Okay, so the fact that there's surgical menopause, that means that we know it was probably a complete hysterectomy, and so we're forced into a state of where now the body has to figure out how is it going to function in a dysfunctional system. I was designed to have all these systems, pineal, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, adrenal, and gonadal system, but now I don't got the gonadal system. So my estrogen's changed. And depending on the type of, cancer, maybe we've got to really be mindful of like, okay, what is going on that could have allowed my hormones to be out of balance that would have allowed cancer to manifest? Because maybe it's a hormone-based cancer, right? And so that would be we support the glandular axis by taking stress off, number one, the glandular axis. So we want to support the liver. We want to support your detox pathways. We want to support your lymphatic system to make sure that nothing is circulating around that is getting stored in your key glandular axis like it was for you. And so, and then in your case, you've already gone through the surgery, and praise God, you've beaten the cancer. So now we want to lift you up and give you more pillars. You're going to have to support your body more diligently going forward because of the dysfunction that you've been through. And so that's okay. That's not something that can't be done. I'm constantly amazed. I had a patient today that has a stomach bypass, and it is mind-blowing to see how healthier she is now just on a program for the last 3 months, and everything that she's been through, immune-wise. She's had a lot of immune challenges, but how her body still, without a stomach, is still healing and regenerating and getting well. And so we would come in with something potentially like this energy force because there's inflammation in your body still, even though you had the surgery. We like this energy force because we want to feed the cellular mitochondrial capacity. We want to lift the ATP productions up. We want cellular respiration so that you can detoxify at the cellular level and you're not storing this stuff. And then we want to support your liver and make sure that your liver is maximizing function. There's over 1,500 pathways the liver is involved with day in and day out. And we want to maximize those pathways to take the hormonal stress out of your body and to make sure that the toxic burden that we all carry at some level is minimized to a point where you can function at a more optimal level. And then we want to support the glandular axis. So we're going to come in with tools, different nutrients and support to feed your glandular axis. It could be this guy right here, adaptogen. Because a person doesn't have ovaries in this case, we know that the adrenals now have to do double time duty. Okay, so now they're going to get paid overtime, but guess what? They got to get paid to do overtime, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody works for free. And so everybody labors, right? We talked about that in the beginning. So this product is the adrenal glands need, number one nutrient is vitamin C. So you think, I can just take more ascorbic acid, I can take more, synthetic, vitamins or whatever. Well, yes, but there's more. We can also put healthy fat-soluble B vitamins into the conversation. We can take black currant seed oil and feed into the adrenal glands. We can take omega fish oils and we can feed into the the adrenal system to maximize it. This is one of my favorite products because it blends several of those things: the vitamin C and the ginseng, ashwagandha, holy basil, rhodiola, rhamania, luthero. I mean, this stuff here has pretty much everything, and then they do a couple other cool things in this product. They also go upstream, and they give the digestive capacity to make sure that when we put a product like this in, you can digest it into its molecular state so that it gets to, or when it's delivered to that cell, that it's more readily available. And this is called adaptocrine. Probably my personal favorite product of all time. I've seen this product do amazing things for a lot of people because we live in a more stressed out world than I've ever seen, more confused world than I've ever seen. Adaptocrine seems to be a product that is a keystone in my office. I've seen it do absolutely things that many adrenal products say they can do that can't. And so I use the heck out of this stuff because I found that I need people calmer, cooler. I need their stress management system to be in a place where they can think through stressful events and stressful challenges. And this product, is adaptogenic. So if you're ramped up, it'll calm you down. If you're kind of in the slumps and the dumps, it'll pick you up and put your feet on a better foundation so that you can truck forward. So this is a cool way to come in and regulate your menopausal type symptoms. Then we'd even go potentially upstream. We'd go into the brain and actually work on the hypothalamus and pituitary. And we have to use nutrients in this case to reprogram some of the bad programming that has allowed cancer to develop. Because cancer shouldn't develop in a healthy body, right? So we have to appreciate, I hate to say, that we had an unhealthy body or have an unhealthy body, and there are things that we have to do to get off of that recipe run of making cancer cells. And because I really think that most diseases that people subscribe to or accept or have in their bodies, they are something that are patterned familiar behaviors. They are following a recipe. And if they stop following the recipe, then their chances of reversing or fixing the onslaught, the aftermath of that disease process is minimized or completely eradicated, and they can get rid of it.
So there's some more comments that came in. She's given a lot more information, but one of the things she asked was, do y'all do family like consults and consultations? And then we were talking about meals and her husband with some gluten stuff, and I said my wife, she's cut out gluten, and then she's saying it's sometimes difficult to prepare meals, which I totally understand, and that's something with y'all's nutrition coaching and other things y'all offer.
Yeah, so we have a nutrition coaching program that is all food. And we build it around macros, and we build it around measuring metrics in the office. We want to look at fundamentals of body water capacity, body fat, and we want to look at muscle mass. We want to look at cellular toxicity levels, like how well can your body do toxic exchange, or how well can it receive mineral and vitamin saturation. We do all this stuff in the office. It's a simple test. It's called an in-body, and it is a medical grade measuring tool that gives us a level of metrics that we can assess your protein intake, carbohydrate intake, and fat intake. And we can use that tool to help you find, okay, these are how much protein you need in breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or snacks in between. This is how much fat you can have, how much carbohydrate you can access, how you can start building patterns of health into your day-to-day routines without finding that you have to follow this strict plan. And so the food coaching program is designed to give you the road map, the signs of the time. Hey, this is a 35-mile-an-hour zone. I need to obey the law. This is a 75-mile-an-hour zone. I need to obey the law. Oh, there's an exit coming up. I can take that. And so it challenges you on water. It challenges you on vegetables. It challenges you on fiber. And we're obviously challenging you on sugar. And we want to teach you that what you can't expect, what you don't inspect. We have lost touch with food in such a way that if we don't address the nutritional component, then we miss the fundamentals of what we teach, that all life starts and stops at the cellular level. So we would come in alongside you, and we have an app that's associated with our food coaching program. We have classes, accountability classes, community classes that we're using to bond people together. We have online network of recipes and ideas to help you make food choices a little simpler, especially when you're first learning. And it takes between 90 days and 6 months to really understand how your body is going to use food better, especially if you have a broken metabolism. And you're thinking, what is a broken metabolism? Well, I mean, if you're overweight, you potentially have a broken metabolism. You know, if you have been dealing with health challenges for the better part of 5 years, you've got a broken potential metabolism. If you've got diabetes for more than, a year, you've had it for 5. I mean, you've got a broken metabolism. And for every 5 years that a person is sick, it could potentially take 9 months to 12 months to completely satisfy the body's needs to repair those broken pathways. It's fascinating. But absolutely, I would recommend that you come in and do our food coaching program and allow Living Well to come alongside you and show you, how to eat again and get you back in touch with it. Because once you figure this out, it's way easier to get your kids to follow suit, especially if they're under 12 and they're still they're still figuring stuff out. Now, don't get me wrong, they're still going to want their sugar, they're going to want their party foods, but I mean, that's okay too. They have a metabolism that can tolerate those, mistakes, if you will, because they are. But it's just good marketing. Most people are consuming bad foods because of great marketing. I mean, everything down to the placement on the shelf is how effective good marketing and great marketing is in getting their product in your basket, in your pantry. And if we can teach you some fundamental practices on, say, for example, what we call the 20% rule, like seeing the sugar to carbohydrate ratio, it needs to be under 20%. If you're picking up a box of candy or cereals that are 60% on this ratio, and you just take your sugar and carbohydrates and divide them, and if it's over 20%, if it's over 30%, oh my gosh, if it's over that, I mean, it's a no-no food. I mean, you got to learn the difference between no-no foods, sometimes foods, and all the time foods. And that's what this food coaching program is all about. And then if you've got this, case where you have a history of, say, a disease process, if you've got some symptom pattern, even something not quite as far as advanced as a disease process. So you got a kid with ADD, or you got a kid with rashes, or you got a kid with some sort of digestive distress. Maybe they don't have a full-out diagnosis of ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or something crazy, right? Something really advanced, on autoimmunity, where your body is so confused that it's attacking itself. We're trying to pluck weeds before they turn into oak trees, and that's why I always like to remind people that in the beginning, disease is hard to recognize. It's a weed. It's easy to pluck out. It's easy to fix. But in the end, an oak tree, it's mammoth. They can be huge, and they don't like coming down, so it's easy to recognize, oh, that's a tree, but dang, that's hard to deal with. You need permits to cut it down. You need, a particular person that knows how to make sure that thing swings out away from your property so it doesn't destroy your property. I mean, you know what I mean? Oh, I mean, there's just so many challenges whenever there's a diagnostic process. So we're going to, at Living Well, leverage both our food coaching program with our clinical nutrition program and blend those together so that as you're healing and getting healthy and strong, even if you get whacked with a cold, oh, by the way, don't forget, I haven't forgot, I got a plan, that even if you get sick, you should have Congaplex in your recipe pantry. This should be one of your rescue remedies. This product here will. I don't know if I would. I don't travel without this product. I don't. It's on my bedside. I've got 5 bottles at my house just in case there's a run on it or something, and I don't have any. I've got 55 extra bottles on my shelf just because I never want to run out of this stuff. I believe in it that much because it has bailed so many of my patients out of a jam. The minute they feel a tickle in their throat, the minute they feel some congestion in their chest, the minute they feel just something's not right with my body, or they just got the green crud, Congoplex will 95% of the time will knock it out in 24 hours. I mean, it blows my mind. And I'm like, how is it that food, because when you look at this stuff, it doesn't really have a lot of, quote unquote, on the supplement facts, a lot of stuff, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, magnesium. Doesn't sound real spectacular. But what this company has figured out is there is a blend that they put together that is the magic. And they use glandular extracts. They use brain food. They use nutrients that help rebuild the mucous membranes in the GI tract so that you are protected in the gut. You're neurologically stimulated to fight off anything that's coming at you or that you're dealing with. It stimulates bone marrow production of white blood cells to come and fight and aid into the battle. T cells from the thymus gland to come into act on your behalf and pick you up when your body is down. Because when the bugs are attacking you, they're replicating and strategizing and trying to figure out how to destroy you. Your body is in the same, strategizing on how to defend you. What an immune system. What a concept. Way cool. This product here comes alongside and gives your body the recipe and the tools. So as your body is healing, or we're working on your postmenopausal symptom or your post-cancer survival, regeneration pathway, or we're trying to pick your, family out of the brain fog, and life then comes and sweeps our legs out from under us because, little Johnny is playing with little Sally and then gets a stomach bug. You know what I mean? And now the stomach bug's running through your home. You got tools and recipes to help manage life as you're healing in the present when life is happening, that we get a curveball. I didn't expect the stomach bug. Well, nobody does, and nobody wants to, right? I mean, nobody likes vomit. Nobody likes, diarrhea. Nobody likes belly pain. It can be brutal, but we've got tools, to help, people navigate through that. And we even on the adrenal, side, the anxiety side, we even have a cool cream that you can rub on the tissues. That's got essential oils and other herbs that are delivered through a transdermal, path. And it is quite phenomenal how quickly the body will respond. I've had patients that they were so sick, that they were so toxic, that the only thing I could do is put a dab of that on their elbow pit or their knee pit in order to get it in a little bit slower, a little bit different pathway, because their digestion was so wrecked. Their liver was so toxic.
Where would you... I know you mentioned the elbow and the knees, but putting it different places to have different effects?
Yep. You can put... Well, it's not so much that it has different effects. I think that it's just different delivery systems. So, I think if I put it, closer to my neck, it's going to get, it's going to upregulate function, and some of the herbs in there and the essential oils are going to turn on brain power faster, right? If I put it down in here in the elbow, it's going to go through a little bit slower. If I put it down in the knees, I just kind of rotate it around so that maybe there's some inflammation in places too, that when you put adaptogenic herbs in, even though it's for calming the body of anxiety or stress, it also downregulates inflammation, which, by the way, when your inflammation comes down, that's a burden you're not dealing with, and therefore you're less stressed. And so it's, again, what part of the watch tells time?
All of it.
All of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the most fun things about what I do is helping people try to see that. One of the most complicated things for me to do is say, I use this for this. You know what I mean? Because I could take this Congoplex, and you're thinking, Dr. Chapa, I just don't want to take a bunch of stuff. Okay, fine. Take Congoplex. Why? Because it's going to be brain food. It's going to be calcium, magnesium. It's going to be vitamin C. It's going to be gut repair. It's going to be bone marrow and white blood cell stimulation. Who wouldn't want that all in one bottle? Oh, you got kids and they don't take nothing, but you can get them the chewable version of this stuff. Okay, I'm in. Why? Because this stuff then now could act as a support for their growth spurts, for their immunity whenever they're playing on the playground, or they're playing sports, or they go back to the building and they get exposed to the dust and the junk in the air. We're constantly lifting their immune system so that they don't get sick. Who's got time to be sick? I don't want to be sick. I want to avoid it at all costs. And you might say to yourself, "Oh, but I never get sick. I'm healthy as a horse. I haven't been sick in 25 years." Okay, but that doesn't always mean that you're healthy. It could mean that you're so deficient that your body can't even raise a white flag to say, "Mayday, mayday, I need help." How scary is that?
Mm-hmm.
And you go, that's not how it works. No, it is how it works. Because if you don't have the nutritional density to pull an immune response, nobody knows. You're suffering in silence, and then you wake up one day with cancer. Ooh, that's a blow. You know what I mean? And because people think cancer's like a virus, it just jumps on you. No, cancer develops over time, and it's one mistake into mistake colossal. We don't want mistake colossal. Mistake colossal scary. Cancer's scary. It's never fun to deal with that. But what if you can nourish the body through food, you can strengthen the body through pathway stimulation, pillar support, making sure that the foundation is working like it's supposed to, and all of a sudden your body will perform at a grand level. It'll perform at a level that you didn't even think possible anymore. I had a patient come in yesterday. I'm so proud of him. So he got the vaccine way back when and wound himself up in the hospital, lost 50 pounds. I mean, it darn near killed him. I mean, it was a bad deal for him. And I didn't really even think he believed in the kind of work I did. And I didn't even expect, I mean, not the guy I would have expected to reach out to me, right? And he reached out to me and says, "I'm in a pickle in a bad way, and I don't know who to call. These guys are trying to kill me," And I'm like, "Oh, well, hey, that's good to hear your voice, let's figure this out." And so I'm like, "This is what I need you to do." Boom, got him in the office. So we started we started repairing him and and it was he was on steroids and he was on antibiotics and he was on allergy medications and he was on it's just on a slew of and even an anxiety med. He was on several things. And so he comes in and I'm listening to the story. And I hear toxins. So his body was just unable to get rid of the toxins, and then dropping the shot in on him, basically just put him over the edge, And it was just more than his body could tolerate, because the body should be able to tolerate the environment, right? Well, he took a chance. He bypassed all his God-given mechanisms by taking a shot, and when he did, his body goes, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble." And he crashed. So we started supporting his liver. We started supporting his lymphatics. And I asked the vital question, "Have you pooped today? Have you pooped yesterday? How often do you poop throughout the week?" And in most guys, I don't really ever worry about them saying, "Oh, yeah, I don't ever have bowel. I never go to the bathroom, ever." I'm like, "Oh."
That's what he said?
Yeah.
That's what he said?
Yeah, like maybe twice a week. And I go, "What?
What do you do at work?"
Yeah.
Do you work?
Like, how do you function? Like, I couldn't imagine not having a bowel movement every day. And he goes, "I've never, since 8 years old, never." And he's 47, I think, or 49. He said 49. And I go, "Dude, that's step one. We've got to open up the floodgates. We got to get you moving." And it legitimately has taken us 6 months to pull him out of that funk. But he comes in yesterday and he goes, "Dude, I am having a bowel movement every morning and I feel amazing. I didn't know I could feel this good." And he said, da. He's just talking, so excited. And his wife goes, "Yeah, I've been telling him since we got married that he needs to be pooping every day." And he just says, "No, I can't. This is how I am."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he got into a pickle. The silver lining was, helped him see that he can feel better. And now we're way past the sickness, the disease, the breakdown, and we're well into regeneration, vitality, and strengthening his tissues so that he can see a long, healthy life with his new bride.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cool?
That's crazy. It's like you said, waving the white flag. That's your body saying, hey, something's not normal. Something's not right, and so we have to look at those signs and say, okay, what do we need to do and address to get this fixed? There's an underlying issue causing these things, right?
That's right. And this guy made it 50 years, 49 years, 48 years before his body gave the white flag, or it gave him a disease, actually, and that's oftentimes what happens is when you don't have the nutritional capacity to manage infections and deal with some of the challenges that the body goes through to download, it shows up in a disease in a bad way. Like it just jumps, it like bypasses all the like simple symptoms, and it just is an oak tree. You just walk into your like the red oaks of California, and you're like, these are really big trees,
Yeah.
And they're thousands of years old. In this case, they're just well-developed infections that you're not gonna just. I mean, that'd be like me going into the onto the mat with you. I mean, like you'd destroy me.
Let's go Thursday.
Yeah, no.
Let's go Thursday.
One of my patients was picking on me yesterday. She goes, "You just need to do it. You just need to get on the mat and and experience it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not really." That whole choking it out business makes me a little nervous.
That's the best part.
The fact that my arm might get separated, is really nerve-wracking to me.
You need those.
Yeah, I know. It's like these are livelihood items,
right?
And they go, but what if? What if you need it one day and you don't have it? I know. I mean, I think about that too. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
you got to blaze that pathway so that way you've been in this situation before. You know what to do. It's right. Reflexes.
That's right.
And I mean, that's what you're doing with your family. And
preaching to the choir.
Everything
here,
else.
And I respect and love it and hear it. And and it's fascinating because there's so many venues and so many things we need to do and to incorporate into our well-being. So that we are prepared. And people never plan to fail. They just what?
They fail to plan.
They just fail to plan. And so at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we want people to plan well. We want them to live well. We want them to be well. We want them to eat well. We want them to think well. We want them to play well. We want them to pray well. We want them to poop well. I think that is all good news, and I just get fired up and excited to share with people day in and day out. If you have questions, if you want to be a patient at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, 281-554-8600. Visit our website, justlivewell.com. You're welcome to take some of our health surveys that we have up there. You can email our office. Our paperwork's on our website. We'd love for you to be a patient at Living Well. We want to be your health and wellness resource for the 21st century. We want to teach you the practices that we have found as critical mass that need to be at the top of your list for living your best life today. So God bless you all. I didn't know if there's any other questions. I know we're kind of out of time today, but we're here every week, and we can revisit our podcast. And there's just we have tons of information to share and so much success stories to give you and to help you know that wherever you're at, whatever you're dealing with, your body wants to undevelop what you've developed into, and we can maximize you if you're, in a place where you feel like you're really good. Last quick story, lady comes in yesterday, and she's just one of my favorite 80-year-old ladies. She just got done with a 575-mile motorcycle ride, and I'm like, good Lord, that's awesome.
That's crazy.
And she goes, the best part is every place we went, we had people to stay with, and I only had to pay 3 hotel rooms. I'm like, even better.
Yeah.
And she just is living life, man. And she goes, oh, and then the hospital is going to try to make me vaccinate, and so what do I need to take to make sure that I minimize the damages there, because I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I pour into these women, and I've started a charity to serve women over the last 15 years, and I want to make sure that I don't lose that opportunity to give them the encouragement and hope they need to surpass that. And I'm like, who are you? But she's been a patient, for years, and we just keep maximizing her vitality curve, maximizing her, longevity curve, and in her attitude of gratitude and her experiences of life and her love for Christ is just, paramount to her success and why she's where she's at. And we all can learn. I mean, I just always aspire, not to be an 80-year-old woman, but to be, fully functional in spirit, mind, and body all the days of my life.
The biggest thing I took from that was her, going so far, not knowing where she's sleeping, staying at other people's places, whether that's a bed, the couch, the floor, maybe.
Who knows?
And for me,
I didn't ask those questions.
I sleep on the wrong side sometimes, and I'm like, oh man. But for her to be like,
neck.
I'm going to go ride, that's a testament right there in itself.
It's lit. It's what it's about. So, guys, go be your best today. Live it. Make it happen. See you soon.
KHEA Radio.